Hello, my lovely library lions. You'll notice that I have some new shelves up today. They are still a work in progress, but because I'm moving all my new books out, I've decided to get rid of some of the books that I maybe didn't like so much. So we're going to do a pretty big unhaul here, and I want to just get right into it because there's a lot of books to go through. So some of these books are actually my boyfriend's books that he's getting rid of, so I don't have too much to say about them. He wants to get rid of The Book Thief. I've never read it. He said it was really boring, so I might not read it. Yeah, I don't really want to keep this around. It's a paperback, and if I do want to read it, I'll probably get a nicer copy because this has a lot of nice editions. After the Woods, which I read in January, I did not enjoy this book. I thought it got really weird, and I have no reason to keep it when I didn't enjoy it, and it's not sort of a stunning hardcover or anything like that. Sherlock. I believe this is just a book about the cases that they did in Sherlock. I was a big fan of the first two seasons, and then the third season not so much. I kind of fell out of love with it when I got out of my, I guess, a Super Wholock phase, even though I never liked Doctor Who. So I don't have a reason to keep this. I don't know if anyone else will want it, now that Sherlock has been off air for so long, but I will be getting rid of that. Another January read that didn't go over so well. I really wanted to like this one because it was a Canadian author, but I don't need to keep this on my shelf when it meant nothing to me to read it. A more recent read, Bully. This is an anthology of true stories about kids who've been bullied. There are 70 stories in this short little book, and none of them are very good, so that's got to go. The Scorched Trials, which is one of the Maze Runner series. This is my boyfriend's that he's getting rid of. I considered keeping them to read, but I'm not a huge fan of dystopian sci-fi. And the rest of the Maze Runner trilogy also has to go. The Gryffindor edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I love this. It is so cute. But I have 3 copies of the Philosopher's Stone, and they're all nicer than this one. There's my original copy, which I have to keep because that's how I read it. The illustrated edition, which is of course beautiful, and then I'm getting the Mina Lima editions, which are stunning. The only thing this really has going for it is the cute stripy sort of pages, and I do like it, but the cover is actually not that cute, and I don't need 4 copies of this. 3 is quite enough. One of my boyfriend's books. I used to actually really like reading these when I was little. They were just such a fun, short little thing where you could find short little stories or short little facts, but we really don't need this, and it's not a nice shelf display. Warrior Cats, Secret of the Clans. This is a book just covering sort of the cats and the clans, who they are, what the rules of the clans are. Really great if you're a Warriors fan. I don't really need it. Everything is on the wiki, and the wiki is actually better than this. It's more complete and more accurate, so I'm going to be getting rid of this book. My boyfriend's copies of the first 2 books in the Warriors series. I don't really want to collect this series because it's so big and it doesn't look that cute on a shelf. I do like this series. I really enjoy reading it, but it's more of something that I stick to ebooks when reading because it's a sprawling series over 30 books, and the later ones aren't that good. I don't really want to give them shelf space. The first volume of We're in High School Host Club. I actually have all 6 of these in my Unhaul. I don't know where the other 5 are at this time. They're somewhere in the boxes to be unboxed. I don't think this held up very well. I think it holds up very poorly in 2021, and I didn't enjoy reading it as much as I thought I would, so it's got to be gotten rid of. Another of my boyfriend's books, he said this was also very boring. Same author as The Book Thief, so maybe that author just doesn't vibe with him, but I'm certainly not going to keep it. Ooh, little avalanche. The Queen of Catway, boyfriend's book. No idea what this is even about. Probably chess. That would suit him. But I'm not going to keep it. I have no interest in this book. The Ultimate Guide to Warrior Cats. Again, this is just discussing all the different cats. It has like profiles of them. There's a wiki for that now. The wiki is more accurate and more interesting, so I don't see a reason to keep this Warriors book and put it on my shelf. It's sort of a cute coffee table book. I mean, the art is pretty cute. It's very traditional Warriors. I'm not that into the series anymore, so I'm probably going to be letting this go. Two books labeled Vampirates. I have no idea what these are about. They actually look kind of cool. I do like pirates and vampires, but I feel like this is maybe middle grade and it's not something I'm super into. Ooh, look at the way the titles. That's pretty. Yeah, I'm not going to be getting into this series, so I'm going to have to let these go. They're kind of cute. I'd like to keep them on my shelf maybe, but I can't. Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. This is a book I've actually read. This is my boyfriend's book that he doesn't know where he got it. He thinks it's mine. It's not my copy of Traffic, sorry. Not my copy of Traffic. I read Traffic in an ebook, so I don't know where this came from. I didn't like Traffic that much, so it's gonna be Unhauled. The Demigod Files by Percy Jackson. This is my boyfriend's book. I kept his actual set of Percy Jackson because I do want to read the actual Percy Jackson series, but I don't need a companion novel for it. The Red Tent. No idea what this is about. Not a fan of the cover. Again, this is my boyfriend, so I'm gonna let this one go. Designated Ugly Fat Friend. I hated this book. I hated the characters. There is nothing redeemable in this story for me, so I am happy to unhaul it. Suicide Notes from Beautiful Girls. Very weird turn that this book took in the last half, and I didn't really feel any strong emotions about it. It wasn't super enjoyable. I don't feel like I need to have it around anymore. It's read, it's done, time for it to move to a new home. Smoke and Bone. I love this book. I adore it. I'm letting it go because I have another copy right behind me that matches the other two that I have. So I bought the full box set of the anniversary edition, which I like the cover a lot better than this. So I'm going to go ahead and unhaul this one and keep the new set. This Song Will Save Your Life is a story about a girl learning to become a DJ, and it just wasn't for me. She's 16 and DJing in adult clubs and getting into all kinds of situations. I really didn't think it was a great book, and I think there's a lot of suspended disbelief required to believe this is a real story or that it could actually happen to anyone, so getting rid of that. All the Rage. This is a really popular book, or at least it was on book blogs when I was reading it, and I just didn't really enjoy it. I've read quite a few books on the same subject matter, and I found other books handle it better. This felt very disjointed, and I didn't super enjoy reading it, so I'm going to be getting rid of it today. The Geek's Guide to Unrequited Love. I didn't dislike this. It's set at a convention, so it's pretty fun, but it's also nothing special. Of all the books set at conventions, I don't feel like this one really understood what a convention is like or what being a fan is like, so I don't think it needs a place on my shelf. Stranger Than Fan Fiction, which I just read last month, so it's pretty good. It's enjoyable. It's not so good that I want to keep it around. I don't think I'm going to think about it very much. I'll probably forget about it in the next few months. It was a fun read while I read it, but it's not a book that's going to stay with me, and so it's not going to stay with me. The Beekeeper's Apprentice. I sort of wanted to keep this, but I don't honestly think I'll get around to reading it. It is my boyfriend's book, so I'm going to let it go, and if I ever want to read it in the future, I'll purchase a different copy. Chicken Soup for the Soul. It's Christmas. I really loved the Chicken Soup for a Soul books when I was younger, but I find that the new ones aren't as good. They're not curated as well. The stories aren't as good, so I don't really have any strong feelings towards this. I don't really want to read it. I'm going to go ahead and let it go. Vampire Knight Volume 3. I got this for free at a convention once. I have never read Vampire Knight Volume 1 and 2. I was 14 when I got this. I'm never going to read Vampire Knight Volume 1 and 2, so I'm going to let Volume 3 go because I'm never going to get to it. This looks like it's the rest of We're in High School Host Club. So again, I got the first 6 volumes, I read all 6 of them, I didn't like them, I didn't enjoy them at all, so I'm going to be letting them go. It's a shame because I really do like the characters, or at least the concepts of the characters, but the actual story I don't feel like it holds up very well, or maybe I'm just not a fan of sort of shoujo romance from the early 2000s. Yeah, definitely, it's not a fruits basket, it's definitely lower brow than that. I don't see a reason to keep going with the series. The Truth About Alice. I don't remember a lot about this book. It was probably fine. I adore Jennifer Matthews' other book that I've read, Devoted, and I mean to read Moxie, so it's not the author. I really like the author. This book just didn't really hit me any special way. A Court of Silver Flames. I accidentally got 2 copies of this book because I wanted the Illumicrate dust jackets, so I have 2 copies of this book. I don't need 2 copies of it, so I'm going to let this one go. It's a brand new sealed hardback. Asking for It. I did like this book. I don't like the cover, and I don't really feel like I need it on my shelf. I thought it was a very good story, but I hate real people on covers, and this one kind of haunts me, just like the way she's staring at you, so I don't really need to keep that with me. We're very close to another little book avalanche there. My Mad Fat Diary. Hated this. My sister liked the TV show, but even she said the book wasn't very good. I don't think it was good. I don't want to keep it. I loathed reading this book. Pride and Prejudice. I read this in high school and I hated it. I know that's a controversial opinion. It's all marked up with all my notes from writing my high school. I don't know if summatives are a thing in America, but it's worth 10% of your grade, and I had to do a paper on Pride and Prejudice comparing all the marriages inside. So pretty much every page has scribbles on it. I almost want to keep it just for my notes. Maybe I will keep it. It's just a little nostalgic. But I hate the story. I don't like Pride and Prejudice at all. Famous Dead Canadians. This is my boyfriend's book. I'm never going to read it, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of that one. The Tea Dragon Society. I read it. It has cute art, but there's really not a lot going on there. There's not a ton of development for anything. There's not really a plot. Just very bland, in my opinion. Wrecked. I liked this all right. It didn't really stay with me. It doesn't hold a place in my heart. The cover is kind of cute, but I don't really need to keep it with me. It's not a book that I'm going to think about much after I get rid of it. Supernatural. Heart of the Dragon. I have a couple of these Supernatural books. I was really, really into Supernatural for a long time. I still like Supernatural all right, but I don't really need to keep the books. I don't think they're particularly well written, and I don't know if they really get the characters right. The official companion for season 3 of Supernatural. Season 3 was the season I really got into Supernatural. I got into 1 and 2 on DVD, and then I watched 3 as it aired. So this was very precious to me when it was airing, but season 3 has been off the air for over 10 years now. They just finished season 15 and the series is over. I don't need a companion to season 3 when I don't have the rest of them. And the last book in this bin is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the graphic novel. I didn't like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, the book, and I don't care for the graphic novel either. There's no reason for me to have this. I'm not sure how I got a hold of this because I haven't read the graphic novel. I read the book, and I didn't like the book, so how did I get this? But I'm going to be unhauling that and hopefully can find a good home. Okay, on to the second bin. So we have 2 more of these Supernatural books. I was super into it in high school. I read them then. I'm not as super into it now, so I don't really need to keep these 2 books around. So I'll be letting them go. Playlist for the Dead. This felt a lot like 13 Reasons Why, but somehow worse. There were some supernatural elements that weren't supernatural. There was a horrible girl character who was just one of the worst people I've ever read about. I don't need this book. Charlotte's Web, cute, but not part of my childhood, not something I have nostalgia for, so I'm not going to keep it. Looking for Group, I hated this book. Almost every second that I read it. It's got a horrible cover and a horrible spine. There's no reason for me to want to keep this around. Truth Witch, this series is actually fairly popular on Booktube. I didn't really care for it. I didn't feel any strong feelings towards it. I didn't hate it, but it just wasn't for me. Lord Loss, I read this in high school. I think I read the second book in the series as well, and then I stopped, and I know that I'm not going to ever pick it back up again, so I don't need to keep this book. Don't Cause Play With My Heart. Cute pun title, cute cover. I don't really need it. It wasn't that great of a book. I read it, I'm done with it. Beautiful Broken Things. I enjoyed this book. I thought it was pretty good, but it wasn't very special to me. I don't really need to keep it with me. As nice as the cover is, it's nice and metallic. Didn't really strike any particular chords. The Girl at Midnight. I think this is sort of an under-the-radar fantasy. I've seen some people talk about it. I read the first book and didn't really care for it at all. It wasn't for me. I'm never going to read the sequel, so I might as well unhaul it. Talon. This is actually a fairly popular series. I hated it. I hated how they did dragons. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the story. I think maybe Julie Kagawa just isn't the right author for me, so I'm happy to unhaul this book. I've got some of these books. So we have Lucy in the Sky, Letting Anna Go, The Book of David. These are like Lifetime movies, but in book form. And while they're fun to read once, they're not something that I like keeping around. They're sort of trash. The first one, Let's Talk About Alice. Go Ask Alice. Go Ask Alice. The first one was good, and then they started writing other books in the tradition of Go Ask Alice, and they're all pretty bad, so unhauling those. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, a very popular book on Booktube and in book blogs. It is not for me. I didn't really like the characters. I didn't like the romance. So I'll be letting it go. It's hard because I know it's such a popular book and I feel like I should like it, but I just really didn't care for it that much. Will Grayson, Will Grayson. This is about two boys named Will Grayson, and that is all that I remember about this book. I read it in high school. I have no urge to read it again or ever pick it back up, so I'll be unhauling that. Those Apart, I got this from an author to review it. I believe it's an indie release. I just didn't really like it. I don't like the cover either, and it's an awkward size, so I'm just going to unhaul it. Maybe donate it or put it in a little free library or something like that. The May Queen Murders, love the cover. Such a beautiful cover. The actual story is just kind of in the middle. It's not really an exciting horror. The atmosphere is pretty good, but otherwise I don't really want to keep this around. It Happened to Nancy. Again, this is sort of like Go Ask Alice. This is a Lifetime movie and a book. It's alright, but I don't really need it. It's not something I want to keep around. I don't think about it anymore. Calling Maggie May, another one of those books. White Cat by Holly Black. I've loved most of what Holly Black has written, but I'm finding that I like her stuff about the Fae more than her other series. So this series I didn't really care for. I started it and I just couldn't get into it, so I'm going to unhaul it. I still obviously love The Cruel Prince and Ironside and all her other series. This one just didn't hit it for me. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. We've talked about this. I don't like this book. It is not at all what I expected when I saw the creepy cover and that it included creepy photos. I wanted like a creepypasta type story. That's not what it is, so it has to go. Scarlett Epstein Hates It Here. This is about fan fiction and a girl writing fan fiction about the people in her town. I don't remember too much else. I think it was rather unremarkable as a read, so... Ooh, another little collapse. Eleanor and Park. I like Rainbow Rowell's writing quite a lot, but Eleanor and Park was just not it for me. I didn't like anything about it, and it's also a little questionable, so I'm going to be unhauling it. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It was fine. I never saw the movie adaptation. I heard that was alright, but I didn't really care for the book. I really like the cover. I think it's so cute, so I'm a little hesitant to let it go, but I will let it go. Trial by Fire. I didn't like this book at all. The main character has a harem of pretty boys who have powers, and her power is essentially to be a battery pack for them, and it was just clearly, like, it felt like it was from the early 2000s, but like before things got good, so I wasn't a fan of this read. Oh, actually, a second copy of Traffic. So I do have a hardcover copy of Traffic that is not my boyfriend's hardcover copy of Traffic, a book he has never read. He's never read Ellen Hopkins, so I don't know why we have two copies of this, but this is mine, and I'm also unhauling this because, again, I didn't like it very much. Okay, so I had no idea how long this video was going to be, and it's coming out at about 40 minutes, so I'm going to split it into 2 pieces. Come back next week for part 2. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend.